Hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan from Boredom Sated.
And I'm Boris from Boredom Sated.
Today, we are going to continue our creature comparisons with the Cyclops. Now, some of you probably think Cyclops, why is there an X-Men being mentioned? Hopefully, more of you are thinking Cyclops. That's a giant with a single eye, right?
Hopefully. uh, but the idea is Cyclops are in mythological history of both Greek, and there are a little bit of mention in the Norse of giants with one eyes. Now, I'm not sure if it's one eye because the other one is taken out, but because you never know with Norse
That's
mythology.
that's fair. In general, when you think of the Cyclops, you think of the Greek and Roman mythology for the Cyclops.
Yes, yes.
Cyclopses are mentioned in the Odyssey. They are mentioned in several of the ancient of Greek texts. There's different types of Cyclops. When we think of a Cyclops, usually think of a giant that has one eye. And one of the other things we usually think about when it comes to a Cyclops is some sort of powers to be able to see partially into the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
in the pop
in the pop
culture
culture
wise,
wise,
they have
they
them
have
in two of my one of favorite movies, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad and the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, where in the seventh they actually have a real Cyclops that fights sort of a dragon-like creature, but in the Golden Voyage they had an interesting of a Cyclops centaur, which
As long as
but
we're sticking
yeah,
yeah,
it's a fun
as long
movie.
as we're sticking with
Yeah.
corny fantasy movies, we also have the course from the wonderful movie. Uh, Sorry, it's hard for me to even get through it.
Well,
Crawl.
oh
Uh,
yes, yes,
but
yes.
the Cyclops Crawl could see where his
Hey,
own death came, and that's actually a very common concept with, at least in the more modern mythology of the Cyclops, that they know how they're going to die.
hey, hey, Kroll had a very good cult following to this day.
Look, we can debate the positives and negatives of the movie Crawl for I'm sure several,
Later,
but that's not going to be what we're going to talk about right now.
right?
Anyway, so that's the general concept of a Cyclops. When we think of a Cyclops, we think of a giant-sized creature, one eye, usually very strong, usually has some sort of uh, psychic ability or telekinetic ability or something else going on with the fact that they have some sort of extra power that doesn't make them just a basic giant.
Right. And just an interesting aspect about Pathfinder 2, where they made the Cyclops really have be part of the original dominating race of the world that you're on, and that had this great magic and great insight, and had very vindictive gods, and the civilization was destroyed because the vindictive gods did not feel that they were worshipped in a proper manner. There's how you made sure you're worshipped. You destroyed the whole civilization, never to be worshipped again.
Pathfinder has a lot of really cool things to do with the history for certain races. If
Right.
you're interested in learning more about that, Rise of the Rune Lords, learning anything about the Rune Lords as part of that, it's a fun story. But I played through Rise of the Rune Lords, and it has some fun things, and it's got some kind of annoying parts to it as well. Either way,
Right.
we're not talking about Pathfinder 1. We're not talking about the history in there. We're talking about the creatures themselves in D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder 2.
Right.
Now, I am very sad to say that the Cyclops in D&D 5th edition is incredibly dull. It's a giant with one eye that has no magical abilities whatsoever, and in fact, because it has one eye, it gets disadvantage on attack rolls from more than 30 feet away.
Yeah.
That's literally
Made
all that's
a
special about it.
cool
A giant
creature.
that gets a minus.
Yes. They literally took a cool creature and made it worse.
There is literally nothing else going on with it. It has multi-attack. It hits very hard, but it's a giant, so it hits very hard. It
Right.
can throw rocks because it's a giant and it can throw rocks, but it's bad at throwing rocks because it can't throw rocks more than 30 feet without disadvantage. So the Cyclops in 5th edition, like I love the general Cyclops lore. Cyclopses in previous editions have usually been higher level creatures than this.
Yeah.
This was just super disappointing. By the
Yes.
way, for what level creature it is, in Pathfinder 2, it is a creature level 5, whereas in D&D 5th edition is a creature level 6. Now, the damage on the D&D version is very high, but that's because it's a giant.
Right. And the Cyclops in Pathfinder 2E actually one of its cool abilities, which they went along with from mythology, is Flash of Insight. So once per day, it doesn't have to roll. It just automatically hits. Not a critical hits, or well, hits or succeeds in anything it attempts. It's not a critical; it's just a success. But without rolling, it gets
Yeah,
that,
it can say, I don't
which
want
is
to take
really
this
cool.
saving throw. I don't want to
Right.
make the saving throw. I'm going to just go ahead and, pass.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to make this knowledge check for whatever reason. Now, the other thing that is in Pathfinder 2, they also put in a higher level version of Cyclops called the Great Cyclops. The Great Cyclops is creature level 12. It has a lot of fun abilities to it, and its flash is a slightly different one. It's called Flash of Brutality, which is basically it can change a hit result to a crit result. Not
Right.
as versatile as the Flash of Insight, but getting a crit with its melee attack is really, really, really bad.
But
Um,
the interesting thing is, even though it says once a day, it does get to recharge if it uses its curiosity ability.
oh yes, yes. I believe I believe both of them get that actually though.
Um, no, it doesn't say that it recharges
Okay.
for the regular Cyclops.
Now the other fun part is that the Great Cyclops also has the ability to catch rocks because it's always nice. It's going to play a game of catch with other giants, but the other giants aren't as good at catching the rocks as they are.
Right.
It also has powerful charge, which is quite fun. And the original Cyclops, the first level one, also has swipe, which is basically like a cleave attack, where it attacks two people with one
Right.
attack. So the
Now
Cyclops in go ahead.
yeah, yeah. The interesting role playing aspect for the greater Cyclops is the Cyclops Seers, which is it could, if it's not in its brutal rage, it actually is supposedly like a seer and can assist you. It gains some, goes back to its intelligent format of its ancestors. So that's a really interesting role playing item that you can say, well, you have to find something ancient, so they have to find this, greater Cyclops and make sure it's calm to get some knowledge from it. It's really lets you work with it.
Yeah, that's a very cool idea, and that also brings in one of the other aspects we like to talk about, which is how you use these creatures in your game. For the greater Cyclops, that's a great way to use the creature in the game. You can basically have to search them out, find them out so that you can get knowledge from them because they are an ancient race. Now, obviously, in 5th edition, the basic version of the Cyclops is incredibly dull, so it's hard to have a reason to put a Cyclops in over a different giant type other than just for, entertainment's sake. But you can always just put in some of the mythology yourself. There's plenty of mythology going along with the Cyclops that you can use, especially again it having the ability to see into the future or see into the past. Whatever you want to add to it, you can to make it so that it's an entertaining creature to find. I actually really like the idea of a Cyclops not necessarily being an automatic fight. I like the idea of having a Cyclops be something that is intelligent enough, but if it gets into a fight, it's going to be able to hold its own. So, obviously, at this point, we have to make the decision that the Pathfinder 2 version is definitely more in line with the history and just a better creature.
Yes.
The fact that the 5th edition version actually says that it has bad depth perception, although it's fair, come on. It's just terrible. So the Pathfinder 2 version we definitely think is more in line. We like the fact that you have more role-playing options and all of that.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely the better version of the Cyclops as a creature, and you can utilize it much better. Tell us, have you fought the Cyclops in the 5th edition or in Pathfinder? How did it do within the role playing for Pathfinder 2? Because this rich history of it being part of the ancient race on the planet is very interesting. That would be interesting to us. And I would say like, subscribe, leave a message, ask us to do a creature because nobody has really asked us to do any specific ones. We feel very disappointed. Uh,
Now, of course, also, if you're up for it, let us know if you fought Cyclopses in other game systems or other editions, and what you think about those compared to our current versions. Either way, talk to us. We will respond. Have a great day. See you guys next time.
bye.
Uh, so overall, I think we can agree that the Cyclops is better in Pathfinder 2 than it is in 5th edition, because the 5th edition one is actually incredibly dull and bad. But you can always add your own addition to that if you need to. So that's our opinion. Let us know if you fought the Cyclops. Let us know if you haven't fought the Cyclops. Let us know what's going on with that, because I think Boris is frozen. So like, subscribe, tell us the comments about it, tell us what other creatures you want to talk about, hear about. And this is Jonathan from Boredom Sated. That was Boris from Boredom Sated, and we'll see you guys next time.